Belgium has been long regarded as one of the best teams in Europe, but they are yet to achieve any glory in major competitions. Belgium have also risen to the top of the FIFA rankings under the Spanish manager and have been extremely consistent, losing just twice in 27 matches since the World Cup. This tournament is probably the last chance for Belgium's own golden generation to claim a major trophy. In this tactical analysis written by Mac from Total Football Analysis, we will look at the attack, defensive and transitional phases of their tactic. We will look at the key player, and in Football Manager we'll have the tactic while seeing how well Belgium will do in Euro 2020. So before we kick into things, make sure you like this video, make sure you are subscribed, and also leave a comment if you have any recommendations which tactic you would like to see next. Let's get started. Martinez has been heavily influenced by Barcelona and Pep Guardiola's style of football, so it's no surprise to see Belgium ranking high for possession, 76% over the last calendar year, as they look to dominate on the ball. Playing with a back three means that Belgium are usually able to have a numerical superiority when building up from the back, as opponents will usually have one or at most two players in their attacking line. This helps them play out of the back easily, especially with the likes of Alderweireld and Vertonghen, who are very good on the ball. We can see this sort of situation in the image, where Vertonghen is the free man in the build-up. The second line would usually consist of two players in a double pivot, who will rarely look to drop into the defensive line. Rather, they will try and stay behind the opposition strikers to try and attract the opposition midfielders, as this will create space for the likes of Bruyne and Hazard in front of the defence, or out wide for the wing-backs. In the example, we can see how Dendonker's positioning has drawn the Czech winger towards him, creating space for the left wing-back. Bruyne will also drop into midfield sometimes to create overloads. The Manchester City man has a free role under Martinez for Belgium, and he constantly alters his positioning, going out wide, dropping deep, or staying high to try and overload in different areas of the pitch when needed. In this scenario, he drops deep to create a dilemma for the Czech Republic midfield. Leave him free and he can wreak havoc, but follow him and you create space out wide for the wing-back, which is what happened in this instance. While stats may show that Belgium like to play in larger patient and possession-based style, they are not adverse to a long direct pass when needed to change the angle of attack or to get in behind the opponent's defence line. Again, having Alderweireld and Vertonghen in the side is a huge advantage in this regard, as they can easily play longer passes out of defence accurately. The 3-4-2-1 shape allows the Belgian wingbacks to stretch play by staying wide on the touchline, which creates space as the opposition stays narrow to combat the sort of central overloads we described before. This example, taken from the game against Denmark, is the perfect example of this sort of situation. The Danish line is narrow and central due to the likes of Lukaku, Martinez and Bruyne, which allows Alderweireld to play a long pass into the space to the right flank for Thorgan Hazard to run onto. This also allows the Red Devils to get into the final third with just one pass. It is interesting to note that Belgium central midfielders do not have much responsibility in terms of their build-up, especially on the ball. Their role is to create space and favourable situations through their positioning and movement. Belgium's tactics often help them in creating opportunities against teams that play with a low block, while if they face a team that presses hard and high, they can utilise the direct approach to bypass the press and enter the final third quickly. Lukaku is also often used as a target man for the direct passes from deep or wide, and he has the physical strength needed to hold up the ball and play in runners. This means that Belgium often have players making third man runs off Lukaku, as he can find them with simple passes, as we can see in the example. Here, Bruyne receives a layoff from Lukaku and is then able to play a simple switch out to Thorgan Hazard, who has a lot of space to run into. In the final third, Belgium look to make forward runs whenever possible to utilise the pace and ball carrying ability of the likes of Lukaku, Hazard and Martinez, with possibly the best player in the world at supplying accurate through balls in Bruyne behind them to create 1v1 situations in the penalty area. This example shows the combination between Lukaku and Bruyne, where the Manchester City man is able to receive in space and immediately send a defence splitting pass for Lukaku to run onto and score. In the final example, to showcase Belgium's offensive tactics in another combination between Lukaku and Bruyne, where there is a reversal of roles from their usual duties, Lukaku turns creator and Bruyne finishes the move off. Lukaku often drops off the defensive line as a decoy, which draws out a centre-back and creates space from a runner from deep, as we can see with Bruyne in the image. These examples shows a variety of attacking strategies that Belgium can use to create chances. They have a number of high quality players in the squad who are versatile and can fulfill different roles at high level, and this allows them to be unpredictable and dangerous in the final third. Earlier we demonstrated how Belgium are a side that tend to dominate possession, which means that they spend a lot less time defending as well. The Red Devils are therefore likely to face teams that try and use quick and direct attacks against them. Belgium's percentile score for defensive duels won is impressive and demonstrates a side that is able to win the ball back relatively frequently. However, they do not press intensely at all. The percentile rank for PPDA is 80, which indicates a higher PPDA and therefore a less intense press. And this is in line with the other defensive metrics that point towards a more passive and targeted defensive approach. Belgium do not play with a high defense line, rather they set up in the mid block with the defensive, midfield and attacking lines in a compact block. The wing backs drop deep to create a back five, with 2 or 3 players in the midfield line and the remainder forming the attack line, as we can see in the example where a 5-2-3 shape is being created off the ball. This image also shows one of the pressing strategies and triggers used by the Red Devils. The Bruyne has stepped up and is the highest player for Belgium, and he is blocking the pass out to the left for the Czech Republic. This forces the play to the right, where we can already see how Belgian players are ready to press, with the left wing back also higher than his counterpart on the opposite flank, to apply immediate pressure on the Czech right back when he receives possession. Here is another example of a pressing trap used by Belgium. Here, De Bruyne once again forces the ball to the opposite side by curving his run from the inside to press the England centre-back. This is a beneficial situation for Belgium as it forces the ball wide into an area where they have a numerical superiority and can win the ball back relatively easily. And they also have a 6v4 in this vertical half of the pitch, which is why De Bruyne forced the play out to that side in the first place. If Belgium are not looking to set up pressing traps, they settle into a central block aimed at forcing the opposition to go wide. The front 5 players try and ensure that all central passing options for the opposition centre-backs are all marked and covered, with the front 3 also staying deep to ensure that the midfield pivot is not dragged out of position. Additionally, the wing-backs are given the freedom to press high if needed, with only one of them advancing at a time, which often converts Belgium into a 4-2-4 during the opponent's first possession phase. With players like De Bruyne, Lukaku, Martinez, Haddad and Carrasco, it's no surprise that Belgium are extremely dangerous from counter-attack situations as well. They are able to spring forward from their relatively deep defensive block at pace, with the midfielders and De Bruyne capable of finding rampaging attackers in space. This image shows this sort of situation, where Lukaku is able to attract the 2 English defenders towards him due to his sheer pace and power. This opens up the pass to Martinez for De Bruyne, and the Napoli forward is able to accelerate into the box in space as a result. This is another reason why Belgium are quite happy to sit deep in a compact block when needed, as they have players to thrive on the counter-attack. In fact, this is also a definite attacking strategy for the Red Devils, as they are able to draw the opposition high in this manner before being able to exploit that high defensive line through rapid counter-attacks. In terms of defensive transition, we have already mentioned how Belgium look to get behind the ball in a compact shape as soon as possession is lost, so this minimises the threat of leaving space for the opposition. They also rarely give the ball away in critical areas. However, one thing they do need to be careful about is the spacing behind the midfield line during defensive transitions. This image shows their situation immediately after Belgium have lost possession in the central area. We can see how the midfield pivots as behind play, leaving the back 3 exposed, and Martinez may need to consider leaving one of the central midfielders or wing-backs in a deeper position to provide better protections against these situations. Kevin De Bruyne has stood out as an important player in almost every phase of the game in this analysis so far, and therefore it's fitting that he is considered as one of the most important players for the Belgian team. This is borne out by the stats as well, which once again makes it clear that he is one of the best players in Europe at the moment. But that there wraps up the tactical analysis. We're now going to go into Football Manager. We're going to have a look at the tactic, but also we're going to kind of let Football Manager run the predictions. So we're just going to holiday. We're going to simulate the whole of Euros using the tactic, of course, and see how well Belgium managed to do. So let's head over to Football Manager. So here we have RDF's Belgium Euro 2020 predicted tactic. Of course, it's going to be predicted. The Euros hasn't started yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a quick run through the team instructions, the player roles and instructions, and then we're going to check the results of the Euros 2020. So for the mentality, we are using the attacking mentality. The attacking width is set to fairly wide. For the approach play, of course, we are going to be playing out from the defense. The passing directness is set to much shorter with the tempo much higher. Of course, we want to set up those counter attacks, and the dribbling we are going to be running at the defense. In transition, when the possession has been lost, like we spoke in the analysis, we will regroup from a 3 to a back 5, and when possession has been won, we are going to be making our counter movements, of course vital for a counter attacking side. Once the goalkeeper is in possession though, he will look to distribute it to the centre backs by taking short kicks. Out of possession, which is key, we are using a lower line of engagement, a standard defence line. The defensive width is set to standard, the pressing intensity is set to more urgent, so we aren't going to be pressing necessarily intensely or even high. What this just simply means, once the line of engagement is broken, then we are going to be pressing more intensely. Of course, we don't want to just stand there and be shy from pressing once the line of engagement is broken. So that's the team instructions. We're now going to go through the player roles and instructions. In goal, we have a sweeper keeper. In central defence, we have 2 ball-playing defenders on either side of the central defenders. The 2 ball-playing defenders have identical instructions, as we can see on the screen. And in central defence, we have a central defender on the defensive duty. On either flank, we have 2 wing-backs on the supportive duty. Again, they have identical instructions, as you can see on the screen. In central midfield, for our pivot, we have a deep-line playmaker and a box-to-box midfielder. They aren't really supposed to be involved in the build-up too much. Of course, in Football Manager, we can't really stop this once we are playing out from the defence and using a deep-line playmaker, but I feel it's vital when we are looking to be a possession-based side as well. So I've had to do a little bit of compromising. In attacking midfield, we are using advanced playmaker as the Kevin De Bruyne role. He's going to be roaming from his position, giving him that free role, staying wider as well, trying to stretch the pitch and not stay central, try and operate in the half space and also tackle harder, which for me is kind of vital to set up our counter attacks once that line of engagement is broken. His midfield partner or attacking midfield partner is an attacking midfielder on the attacking duty. He's going to be moving into the channels and tackling harder as well. Lastly, up top, for the Romelu Lukaku role, we are using a target man who is going to be taking more risk, moving into the channels and tackling harder. That there is the tactic that I've set up for Belgium. So now we're going to run the simulation. We're going to see how well Belgium may do in Euros 2020. So now let's check the results. So in the Euros 2020, in Group E, that's where we was drawn. We were drawn with the likes of Spain, Poland, who are a decent team, and Bosnia as well. In the group, we did qualify by coming second. We played 3, we won 2, drawing 1. Our 2 wins came against Bosnia and Poland as expected, and the draw came against Spain. So that moved Belgium into the second round of the Euros, where we drew Turkey and we managed to beat them 4-2. In that game, Belgium had 12 shots, Turkey had 8. Surprisingly, Belgium only had 39% of the possession, which is kind of crazy. Turkey went 2-0 up in the 6th and 18th minute. Then our wingback pulled one back before Soyuncu scored an own goal. Lukaku then put us in front before then finalising the game in the 95th minute. So that result moved us to the quarter-finals, where we drew Germany. Now we beat Germany 3-0 impressively, 13 shots towards their 9. Our XG, we had 1.99 XG, and the possession, again losing out on the possession with Germany having 58% of the ball. But Lukaku did manage to score in the 14th minute, Mertens put us 2-0 up, and then Hazard scored a penalty in the 80th minute. That match then put us to the semi-finals, so we are now still in the Euros. We are in the semi-finals where we beat France 2-0 in the semi-finals, which is again impressive. France are one of the favourites of this competition, but we did beat them impressively, also dominating the game. So we had 20 shots, we had 7 on target, and XG of 3.43, which is high, and this time doing a little bit better in possession as well. This time with 50% of the possession, completed 90% of our passes. Hazard put us 1-0 up in the 80th minute with a penalty, then Dries Mertens scored 2 minutes later in the 82nd minute, making us win 2-0 and knocking out France, putting us in the final. Now let's see the result of the Euros final, which is between Belgium and Italy. And in the final, Belgium came out victorious, winning 2-1 over Italy. In the final, it was a close match. We had 13 shots, they had 14. We had 6 on target though, they only had 3. We had the slightly better XG as well with 1.46. They had 1.35. They had more of the ball though. But at the end of the day, that didn't really matter because Lukaku put Belgium in front in the 3rd minute. Insigne equalised in the 14th before Alex Witsel put Belgium in front and also scored the winner. So now we're just going to have a quick run through some of the stats. So the most points per game, Belgium came in 7th. Most goals, we scored the 2nd most goals in the whole tournament. We had the most shots for with 110 throughout the whole tournament. Shots against, we weren't in the top 8, which is slightly disappointing. For the pass completion ratio, again, we're not in the top 8, again, disappointing, as well as the average possession. But the most tackles won, Belgium tops that list with 152 tackles, so congratulations to them mid-block. For the most dribbles made, Belgium came in 3rd with 20. For the most clean sheets, we had the joint best defence in that regard. And for the fewest conceded, we conceded 6, which puts us 6th. And for the expected goals, which is kind of impressive, Belgium topped that list with 15.75 expected goals in the European Championships. For the player stats, Lukaku was the 2nd joint top goal scorer. Hazard came in 3rd or 4th place with 5 goals. For the most assists, we don't have anybody in the top 8. Lukaku took the most shots in the whole competitions. Hazard got the most player of the match awards with 3. For the most key passes, Hazard is there, joined 3rd. For the best pass completion, we don't have anybody in the top 8. For the most tackles won, it's our right wing back Timothy Castagne and Axel Witsel in joint 3rd. For the most dribbles made, we don't have anybody in the list. For the most clean sheets, Courtois is joint 1st, and for the fewest conceded, well, Courtois is not in the top 8. So that there unfortunately wraps up our tactic for Belgium. It's a great tactic, of course. Belgium ended up winning the Euros. So if Football Manager is right this time, then expect us to see Belgium victorious and winning a major competition during their golden generation. My name is RDF. The tactical analysis article was written by Mac over on Total Football Analysis, which the link will be in the description. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to make sure you have liked this video. If you are new or you haven't yet, make sure you are subscribed, and also leave a comment if you have any recommendations of any tactics you would like to see next. I will see you soon or speak to you soon. Stay safe. See ya. Peace out.